Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our second interview in the Hope for the Holidays interview series. I am so excited. I have had to restrain myself from talking too much prior to hitting record and
Oh,
launching this live to Facebook. I have loved this guest for a while now. We're actually, I used to have like friend in your head. Well, she is friend in my head slash friend on social media, but she is just every woman awesome. Welcome, Everlean Rutherford.
thank you for having me. And yes, you are my friend in my head too, and on social media.
Good.
COVID has
When
got
I
us where we
tell
cannot get together.
That's right. COVID got us because I was intentional. I was like, okay, we have to like schedule a dinner date, some kind of outing, something, a family date with our boys, because I don't want to give too much away, but she's a boy mom as well. But I tell you, people can say what they want to about social media, but it really connects people to each other when you're using it in your gifting, in your calling, and being intentional about it. So I love the fact that we connected through social media. I am elated you made time for me today and to allow people to get to know more about you
Yes.
as we continue to re-air this recording. But welcome again. I want to read your bio so we can jump right into our time
Okay.
together. So everyone, this is just a bit of Everlene's bio that she gave, and I'm going to read it in detail. Everlean Rutherford is a marriage advocate and has been married to Brandon Rutherford for 11 years. They also founded the nonprofit Village Connection, Inc., which helps out children in foster care and homeless outreach in their community. They have a passion for giving back to their community, especially around the foster care community. They believe in building a strong foundation for your marriage and that you're a team. They have spoken at various marriage events. I know they had some lined up this year, but because of COVID, they had
Oh,
to pivot. But they talk on topics such as finances, love, expectations, and teamwork. And they are the parents of three awesome boys. Their hashtag is Dim Rutherford Boys. I absolutely love it. So
yeah.
we are so excited to welcome you today, Everline, and just hear more about you and this series. When the Holy Spirit led me to it, it was back in October, and I just thought about hope. It just started around like people
Mhm.
need hope. And for me, I am a natural connector. I love people's stories. I love people. And I wanted to figure out how can I get the stories of people out there so that others can look to them for encouragement and inspiration. And I felt like with you, you have so many branches that connect to you: marriage, family, fostering, and then leading to adoption, even philanthropy. So let's start the conversation off with talking about the marriage piece and how you and your sweetheart met and what it's been like for 11 years of marriage.
It's, I can honestly say a lot of people dread marriage and they'll say comments like, oh, like my husband, or oh, I can't wait until I can get out of this marriage, or all these negative comments. And I can really say, you know, no marriage is perfect. No marriage is without any arguments or disagreements. Anyone who says that is lying. But I can honestly say
Yep.
we've been able to work through everything. And it's just been an awesome marriage. Like,
Mm-hmm.
when God has put you with that right person, you will know because you will mesh. Everything will be, as God intended to be. It won't have to be a struggle. You won't have to try and be, upset with your spouse every day. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just been one of those type of marriages where it's like, I keep thanking God, like, you did this, God, like, thank you. you know like
Right.
like like thank you, Jesus. I mean, we were dating for 9 months,
Mm.
and that's when he popped the question after 9 months, like,
Yes.
when you know. And everybody was like, girl, you better go. and it was definitely at a time where I wasn't looking. I was enjoying single life. And he came along and it was just like, whoa, okay, God, I see you.
That's
And we were
right.
married 7 years later. On July 4th, we got married, and it's been 11 years. And I could say from the start, we had good marriage counseling, which I
Mm-hmm.
always recommend. And we listened to each other.
Mm-hmm.
we walk away when we're heated and come back. We've set goals, expectations, just everything. And and I can say I'm blessed, because I have a marriage where I don't feel like I'm in a prison. I don't feel like I'm
Mm-hmm.
unhappy. I'm so happy. I'm loved. We have a beautiful
Yeah.
family, and
Yeah.
it's just, everything that I dreamed of.
Yes. I love that you tied in the everything I dreamed of, but that dash of reality and the
Yes.
fact that this is what happens in marriages and this is how we overcome that, or this is how we work through it, specifically around the part of we know when to walk away.
Yes.
And I think that is a pivotal statement. Whether some people that are listening to this, whether they are just, okay, like bottom rung, we got to figure this out, or it's going to be out the door, or either you've been thriving, 10 plus years, and you have maybe a handful of little disagreements throughout the year. No matter where you are on the spectrum, I think that's so important for your spouse, you and your spouse to understand what's that moment of, okay, let's take a break and then let's come back together. Did you all have to figure that out, or did it just come naturally?
Um, I think it had a. I think we had to do some figuring it out.
Okay.
I would say for me, I think a lot of people bring into marriage what happened to them in the past. One thing that
Hmm.
and you have to work and see how that fits in your marriage. For me, when I first was raised and going up, I was probably what you consider a pushover. I
Hmm.
just wanted everyone to be happy. I was always a happy-go-lucky person, and I didn't want to stir the pot ever. People would hurt my feelings, and I would just take it because I didn't want to hurt their feelings back. And then it's like I switched a corner where it was like I'm tired of this, and
Hmm.
and I wouldn't say I turned into a mean person, but I turned into someone you're not just gonna talk to me any kind of way. So
Right.
maybe I took it a little too far. Like, no, you're not. You know, I have feelings. You're not just
Hmm.
gonna run me over. You're not just gonna do whatever, say whatever to me. I'm
Right.
nice to you, so you don't deserve that. And so I kind of had that feeling even as I was single and dating guys, like,
Hmm.
you're not just gonna talk. No, bye. And
Hmm.
so whenever we would have a disagreement and he would say something, I would snap back too, like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
but we had to realize, I had realized, okay, this is my husband. This is
Hmm.
not someone on the street. This is not someone that's trying to come at me the wrong way. This is my husband. Not,
Yeah.
we're a team. And one of the biggest things, and I was working on doing a podcast myself on this, is one big lesson I learned is, and I can't even remember the scripture now. It's basically a soft word turns away wrath.
Yes.
And that has been one of the main things that I have
Hmm.
learned as a wife is,
Hmm.
even if I say something to him or he says something to me, we've learned that as a couple as well. Is, you always don't have to snap back with something snippy. You can say, okay, babe, and just walk away.
Right.
Walk away. Like, you
Hmm.
don't have to turn around, respond with something harsh back. Even if they say something harsh just out of anger, you don't have to.
Hmm.
And we've learned that we don't even argue as much as we used to argue. Like,
Yeah.
when you first get married, you're trying to learn each other, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
no, don't do that, because we didn't live with each other before we got married. So that
Hmm.
first year was really a lot of learning of each other, because we moved in after we got married. So
Hmm.
learning and seeing how people, keep it clean and, all that.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
neat freak. So, um, so it's just, not being snippy, learning. And,
Yeah.
even to this day, sometimes I got to remind myself of that. Like, okay, you know, how am I responding, and don't
Hmm.
respond a certain way. So it's definitely
Hmm.
a scripture that stays to my forefront.
I think that is such a word that is very relevant, not just now as we move into the holiday season, round in the corner to Lord willing another year, but reflecting back on
Yes.
earlier this year when so many couples, you know, when you leave and go out and work and do what you do in your line of
Yes.
work, it gives you that opportunity to miss your spouse and you get the text throughout the day and, oh, I can't wait to see them again. But being bound home for a lot of couples that work from home with their spouse,
Hmm.
I've seen various articles about the challenge that has
Yes.
been, even more so with recent statistics of, you know, all that COVID has taken away, it's taken away marriages,
Yes.
that the divorce rate, divorce inquiries were on the rise. So when you talk about the soft word turns away wrath, I think that is one of those practical, like scriptures you could put into practical application.
Yes.
Sometimes we get so in the weeds of scripture that we're
Yep.
like missing the application of it. And it's like, well, don't be in that word all day and not apply it. So
That's big. You have to,
yes.
some words you have to see how you can apply it to your life.
Hmm.
And to me, it's just how I respond. Soft words,
Yeah.
turns away wrath. So they can be upset, but how you respond can either add fuel to the fire or put the flames out. That's how I see it.
Hmm. That's good. That's good. That's so true. So, what has this season been like for you all? Yeah, married 11 years, raising three boys, both working from home amidst all things still COVID related. What was that transition like for you all from, let's take it back to the optimism of the new year, Lord, January 2020, up till now? What has that been like for y'all?
um, 2020 has just been, I would say it's been a year.
Yep.
um, and and I would say it has taught me, if one thing has taught me, is it has taught me to slow down.
Mm,
I was, we went full speed into 2020, the boys playing sports, you know, uh, we have three boys and they're either playing soccer, flag football, basketball, and they even do hip hop breaking class. Definitely stay active in sports and everything. And so we were busy in sports, and we had just ended a season, and that's when everything just shut down. Schools were
mm,
out. I was working from home. Thank God I had a boss that was like, don't worry
amen.
about it. I know you're a worker, just redo your shift, your hours however you
Right.
want. Basically I was able to adjust however I wanted to. So I was blessed for that. But
Yes.
it's definitely taught us to slow down because we already spend a lot of time with our boys, but since COVID, we've had to be really creative and make sure
Yes.
that we consider their feelings. How are they feeling with COVID? A lot of people are just worried about adults, but it's like, how are your kids feeling? They can't see their friends on a regular basis. They can't go to school. They're missing a lot of things. So we
Yeah.
let them call their friends.
Hmm.
They FaceTime a lot. We've been really creative with activities and everything that we do. So
Hmm.
it's definitely slowed us down, but it
Yeah.
just allowed us more family time as well.
That's excellent. And I think that's always just this underlying, you know, non-spoken prayer in mama's heart is just to have more time. We
Yes.
see our children grow with each passing day. Literally now, with each passing day, they're saying things they didn't say before, forming sentences that they didn't before, just expressing themselves more into these, tiny human beings that they
Yes.
are. But I've always felt that more time has just been such a sacred little request in a mama's heart. So I love to hear you say that. I also want to talk about the creativity piece. You go all out for your boys, birthdays, just family time, making memories. When I see what you're doing with your boys, you are really making memories for them to even pass on to their children in the future.
Yes.
Let's talk about how creative it's been on the marriage side, because I know we shared this, couple to couple, going out to different things and being, able to have that freedom to have date nights out. But what
Yes.
have you found that has worked creatively for, still having date night, having your time? Because we know how important that is.
Yes. Date night is a priority in our house. And prior to the pandemic, I mean, we even budgeted for babysitters for date night. If our parents couldn't watch, we have two babysitters that we trust. That will, one of the two ladies will actually watch our boys, and and we make it a priority. But during the pandemic, I would say it's been rough. We've had
Mhm.
in-house date nights where I've decorated the table, put candles up, put music up, and we'll played some music, and
Mhm.
we told our boys go in the room and don't come out. We made sure that they were
That's
taken
it.
care of.
Yes.
Ate, showered. Okay, go your rooms. Don't come
Right.
out.
That's
It's
it.
mommy and daddy's date night time. And so we'll order food. So we've been doing
Nice.
Grubhub, Uber Eats, all those ordering apps. And so like we'll pick a different restaurant, they'll deliver it, and we'll set it up like a nice restaurant, turn off the
Nice.
TV and just have music playing and we talk. So we were doing that for a while until,
Mhm.
outside opened up a little bit better.
Right.
And then we just do creative stuff. Like we went to what is it, Dave Chappelle. He had a
Mhm.
concert, and so he had a comedy show that he was doing in preparation for SNL. So he was doing shows, and part of his shows he was doing rapid tests, and so we weren't going to go because
Nice.
we were like, nah, but they were doing rapid tests on the spot, so they were
Mhm.
testing you for COVID on the spot, and if you were positive you couldn't get in, and
Mm.
and they gave you a full refund. So we felt a little better, and then they provided
Wow.
you these nice cool masks that for
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle's logo on it, and just trying to find creative ways to just get out and do stuff
Yes.
safely, but still enjoy that one-on-one time. And plus, we
Mhm.
always have our boys go to bed at a bedtime during the week. 8 o'clock. After that is mommy and daddy's time.
That
It's
is
key.
so good. That is so good. You've given us so many practical things that you do, the 8 o'clock bedtime, because I'll say holidays, especially coming off a Thanksgiving break, it can be a slippery slope,
Oh
especially
yeah,
when these holiday specials don't start till 8 o'clock. I'm like, come on, Frosty, can we start at 7
yeah,
o'clock? Come on now. Mama and daddy need their time. But it's just a slippery slope. They're like, oh, we're staying up late. And I'm like, we back on it next week. Don't get
yep.
used to this. But I love your intentionality behind just advocating for your marriage. And I want to know, where's the root of that from? Like, what has just been this fire in you that has said, you know what? We are going to advocate for our marriage. We are going to make sure that our marriage is a priority. Where did that come from?
I would say I'm not for sure where, but
Mm,
well, now that I think about it, probably from my mother.
mm,
it
mm,
it may have came from my mother. My mom was married to my dad for a while, and they
hmm.
divorced.
Yeah.
And so she was a single parent for a long time before she remarried my stepdad, who is, he's my dad. So
Hmm.
so she remarried, and I remember those years of her struggling, and she was such an awesome mother. She like will work two jobs to make sure ends meet. If there's something that we wanted, she would make sure that we had it. But I
Mm,
know that she was tired. She was working two jobs.
yeah.
She was also getting her degree at the same time and taking care of three girls. So it was weird to have three boys. She had three girls, but she always, made sure that we had though. But I can remember her struggling. I can remember, her days of, when they split up, and then when she met my stepdad, it was, she had a partner, she had a teammate now. She didn't have to
Hmm.
do this alone.
Yeah.
And I see the difference. And I knew I didn't want to do this alone. I didn't want
Hmm.
to have kids and raise them alone. I wanted to
Hmm.
help meet. I wanted, we call ourselves Team Rutherford. I wanted a
Good.
teammate to raise. I wanted to make sure that they had a father figure and me in the house,
Hmm.
and we're able to raise them up. So
Yeah.
that's probably where I got it from. I saw her struggle. I saw her
Yeah.
struggle.
I love that. So we have a couple comments coming in. Adia said
Oh.
things are simple when it's meant to be. And she was talking about that in reference to how just seamless your connection with Brandon was. Things are simple when it's meant to be.
Yep.
One of my former colleagues, Kennard Weaver, he said, great show, very informative, protective time for the marriage union. And then Brandon said, hashtag Team Rutherford. I love that because I think sports, depending on you either love sports or you tolerate them or you're like, nope. I feel like sports bring such analogies to life.
It
And when
does.
you think about it, when you put in your bio about we're a team and we operate in our marriage as a team, it just made sense. because the
Mm-hmm.
team works for the collective good. The team is
Yes.
pushing towards the goal together. The team is
Mm-hmm.
going to celebrate when we win together. So why not work hand in hand to ensure that we're going to cross the goal, the finish, whatever that is. So I've been so inspired to hear when you say we're a team, because I think that is another part that
It
so
is.
many couples, they made the choice to operate me and me versus we. So, can you tell
Right.
us about the importance of operating as a team and how you all came to that notion?
You summed it up good, but just to elaborate, we had sat down, and one of the things I love about Brandon is that he is really there leading our household. I'm not just, flying by the wind. We don't have goals. We don't have any,
Mhm.
we don't know where we're going. He truly prays for our family. He gets up early and he prays for us. He makes sure that he's doing things as God wants, things to be done. And and it starts from the head. I say a lot of
Mm,
things, when you see marriages that are having issues, I often look at the head of the house first.
yeah.
And sometimes you can see how the marriage is not going because the head of the house is not in alignment, right?
Mm,
He's not, it's God, and it's going on down. Like I feel how you see like a diagram that some people put
right.
all the stuff on there.
Yes.
I can't think of it, but it's like is the head in alignment first?
Hmm.
Are you operating as a team? Because whenever you go out there and like a football squad, they're not just going to go play their first game without practicing. They're not going to
Hmm.
go and not look at the drills, not listen to the coach, not get some type of direction. There's some people who, oh, I can do my thing, he can do his thing, and then we'll come together. And it's like no, we sit down and we talk about our goals. We talk
That's
about what we
right.
want to do, short term, long term, things we want to pay off, things we want to do,
Mm,
and we come up with a game plan. And it takes a team.
mm,
It's not just one person's decision. Why get married if you're still going to operate as if you're single? I
that's
don't
it.
understand that. Why get married if you're still
Good.
going to operate as if you're a single person? And it's like people don't want to consider the other person's opinion because they don't want to get told no. They don't want to get told they can't do something or can't buy something. But it's not
Hmm.
that. It's it's
Right.
that you guys are together as a team to make sure that you guys are doing things for the family unit to better it, not to do harm to it.
That's good. I love how you said the goals and we create a game plan. Y'all take it deep. I love this notion around team. My friend Belinka, and she's also a business owner with her husband. They are entrepreneurs and they have
Mm-hmm.
a printing, t-shirt, and graphic printing company over in Stone Mountain. And she put, yes, it is so important to operate as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that even through them. They stepped down on faith. Her husband said, I see this vision. We're going to do it together. And they
Yes.
operate together as a team, even down to what they do to provide for their family.
Mm-hmm.
So I absolutely love that thought around sitting down, drafting the game plan. I think I might print out some kind of board like the Read game plan or something for 2021 because it just makes sense. And of
It
course, rallying
does.
around sports. I love that. So we've talked about the marriage piece and how you and Brandon, came to your union. Let's talk about those beautiful, handsome, awesome Rutherford boys. Let's talk about
Yes.
what your parenthood journey has looked like. And I know we're going to tip the surface of what we're going to dig into about fostering and adoption and your nonprofit. So let's start with your family unit.
Our family unit, I knew I waited a little longer to get married in life. I never wanted to get married young. I never did because I wanted to explore. I wanted to live
Mm,
life. So I knew when I got married, I wanted to go ahead and have kids because time was right. So we probably wanted to wait like a year or two. And let me back up. Prior to this, I knew a lot of people who had been in foster care. I knew some people
mm,
who had been adopted. And so it was always something that I was wanting to look into and
mm,
do. I didn't know if it was fostering, adoption, or both. It was always something that I was just interested in. And I've always, my mom, she is big on outreach. So outreach is in our
mm.
family.
Okay, that's
Outreach and
good.
helping others and doing stuff. I've always done it all my life. So that's just how I was raised up, and I continue to
Mm-hmm.
do that even with our boys. So we got
Mm-hmm.
married, after a year or so, we started to try to have kids. And a lot of people don't know this. I was told I couldn't have kids. Then we found out
Mm.
it just wasn't happening. They were like, "Oh, you can't have kids," and like I was devastated. Like, what?
Mm.
So I went to specialists. Specialist was like, "Nope, you can't have kids." And I was like, y'all must not know my God." I was
There it
crying, I
is.
was sad, and I was like, "Nope." Me and Brandon, and that's why it's so key to have someone that God gives you. Like someone, and you're equally yoked, because me and Brandon started praying, and we went on a fast. Even with all the
Mm.
specialists and everything, we were like, no. So we petitioned to God, no, God, we want a child. We were still open to adoption. We had even, we were praying, and we were looking to that as well, because we were like, maybe God wants us to adopt then. But either way, we wanted to have kids, and we were fine
Mm.
with either having our own or adopting. But, we were like, God, make it happen. But it was so expensive. So we were like,
Mm.
okay, God, you're going to have to give us one.
Right.
And literally, what is after we did our fast, I think it was like 3 months after me and Brandon went on a fast, and we left it alone. We left it
Mm.
alone. We had family who was praying for us. It was like, I know the doctors say this, but I know you're greater than what the doctors say. I know you can do anything. And then we conceived Andrew. Like I probably should have owned stock in like the birth control, little things. Hey, I told you I'm TMI, but
I love that. Love it.
but so I would just take them randomly, and like it came up positive. I was so excited. Brandon was so
Mm.
excited. We were like, how is this? Now let me tell you, I called the doctor, and let me tell you how God is, and the doctors just didn't believe it. The doctor said, there's no way, it has to be a false positive. Like, there's no way. The special was like, no way. Like it must be
Wow.
a false positive. Those tests, there is an error rate on them. And I was like,
Mm.
no. And she was like, well, let me come in the office and test you with one of the ones we have in the office. And I was like, well, you're gonna see the same thing. I was like, God is good. So I went in the
Yes.
office, and she had me do the regular test in the office, and it still came up positive. How about she
Mm.
still didn't believe me? She sent me down for a drug test. I'm not drug test, a blood test to pull my
Well, yeah.
blood.
Yeah.
She still didn't believe me. She was like, there's no way, because the specialist, everybody said you can't. Like, and she's looking at x-rays, she's looking at all the tests. She sent me down to do a blood test because they did not
Mm.
believe it. And the blood test came, I went back and waited in her waiting room, and she called me back, and she was like, well, I guess we're pregnant. And I was
And
just
you're like,
like,
I told you.
I told you. And it was just like, God, thank you. Like I can see,
Amen.
I know the miracles that he's done. I know
Mm.
when you petition God and you're like, you know, this is what you're going to do, God. And thank you. So every day we've been thanking God for Andrew. He came early. We still thank him.
Yeah.
He was in the NICU for a while. You
Yes.
know, now you can't even tell he came 5 weeks early. You can't even tell that they were saying that he may get this, he may get that
Mm-hmm.
because he came early. I'm like, you guys just don't know my God. Like, you
Mm.
just don't know.
I
Like,
know that's right.
you just don't know. So
Mm.
that's how it started. And literally after we had Andrew, we just didn't conceive no more. It was like it was gone. Like, I
Right.
don't want to give you all the TMIs, but it is not possible no more.
Yeah.
But
But no, yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, when you said that, for me it seemed, and I was reading, a couple comments. Shantae said, "God is so faithful."
Yes.
You all were faithful. You put action behind your
Mm-hmm.
faith. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
just this empty prayer for God to, you know, do what you promised, Lord, or do what I'm praying for. But you all came together as a unit. I love how you said, just you both immediately went into prayer,
Mm-hmm.
and you came to understanding that this is going to take prayer and fasting,
Yeah.
faith, and the action. And
Yep.
you were faithful, and God was faithful to you. And you have such a strong testimony of, man will tell you no one time, two times,
Yes.
three times, make you go through any and everything with Audie and Dottie, but God has that final say. He's
Yep.
got that one yes that you need. Y'all were all in on your trust, and your faith. So I'm so glad that you were able, you shared that with me, because I wrote down your quote where you said, I know the miracles that God has done.
Yes.
There are people listening to this that will listen to it that haven't had a miracle happen. They might be expecting a miracle, or maybe the furthest from thinking that they could receive a miracle. But your testimony is the inspiration and the hope that they need to know that the same God that can raise somebody from the dead, the same God that can walk across the water, the same God that can perform miracles back then, he's doing them now for people. And
Doing
our
them now.
testimonies share that. So I love that you were just, even when you're sharing the recap, when she said this, I said, no. When she said this, I said, no, we are what we are because God said we are. I
Yeah.
absolutely love
And
that.
it's like, and it may not come when you want it to come, because me and
Amen.
Brandon, we wanted more kids, and we knew we wanted more kids, and we had still looked into adoption again. We had, trying to figure out, and we were moving from Augusta to Atlanta, and we were, okay, God, we want more kids. So we had our son in 2011, and we knew we
Mhm.
wanted more kids, and it's just, at this, there's sometimes when you have to accept it wasn't going to happen naturally again. You
Right.
have to accept some things, and so we're like, God, how are we gonna have more kids? So we were already dabbing into adoption and fostering, and we knew we didn't
Mhm.
have the funds. And then we got to Atlanta, got settled,
Mhm.
and what did we start fostering? 2016,
Mhm.
2016 or 17
Okay.
we started fostering. So from 2011 to 2016, about 5-6 years, I would say. Then we started fostering. And so we
Mhm.
had more kids in the house, and it was
Yep.
like, we wanted, I wanted them to go ahead and be close in age. So it just didn't happen to me naturally. And I was like, oh, okay, God, I'm gonna leave it to you how this is gonna work out. And lo and behold, we get two more boys through fostering.
Praise
And it's
God.
like that we're able to foster and adopt, and now they're our sons. And they're all around the same age. And it's
I
like,
love it.
God,
Love
and
I
that's what
love
I
it. I love
wanted.
these. Yes.
I probably skipped ahead, but that's what I wanted. I wanted my boys to be raised together. I didn't want an age gap. I wanted them together. And I was like, I don't
Mm.
know how God's going to do that, but I wanted that. And it was a big gap. And for a while, I thought, okay, well, maybe Andrew might be the only son. And, adoption is expensive. But the way that we went through doing it, it didn't cost us that much. It was
Praise
very
him.
able to obtain. And it was like, he was just laying everything down. He was just
Mm.
making sure that the pathway that we were going on is the one that he had us for. And we were just
Amen.
like, wow, just in awe, just in awe.
I love that. And I never knew that part of that's what you wanted. Like all of
Hmm.
them close, because you all, they are the cutest boys. They are just all about the same height. And you can
Yep.
just tell they love each other, and they're all individual, but they all enjoy doing the same things. And
Yes.
you can just see the joy that you all have manifested and created in your home through these boys. Jennifer just posted on the comment and said, God answers prayer, speak it and let him hear you.
Yes.
Another comment said from Kennard Weaver, love that. One can put 1,000 to flight, two can put 10,000 to flight. Teamwork works. Where two or three are gathered on purpose for God, he delivers. Love, love, love
Yes.
this. And Brandon just fact checked us and said it was 2017.
Okay. See.
Teamwork. He got your back. He got your back. You the quarterback. He just ran it right on in the end zone.
Yes.
I
He's better
love it.
with details. I'm not. I'm like, well, around this time, it's over there somewhere.
Somebody got to be. Somebody got to be. Can do it all. Like we talked about earlier. Just not being able to do it all.
Yes.
But
Yes.
let's go back, because in your heart you had for God a desire, and He delivered you a miracle one time in that way. He delivered you another miracle with your other two boys in a different way. I believe sometimes people get so connected or hooked on what it should look like.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lord, I asked you to bless me with A, B, C, but have you thanked him for the XYZ? We have to understand that when we are receiving a blessing from God, it is for his good towards us.
Yes.
I love the fact that, you all were able to receive the miracle of Andrew one way, but expand your family another way. And you still got what you had prayed for. You still got what you
Yes.
had hoped for. It came in a
Yes.
different package, but it was a gift that has made you so grateful for receiving it. So
Yes.
that's
I
one
mean,
thing
they're
I
my
think
boys.
that's right. That's it. That's one thing I think that people need to, again, consistently hear stories and testimonies of, it didn't look like I thought it would, but man, did he show up and show out better than I
Yes.
dreamed he could have. And your beautiful family is a reflection of that. I know some people on, or maybe going to watch this later, they've had a heart for either fostering or adoption. I think this year, because we all have been disconnected from running to things, we're more privy of stats and news and understanding that there is such a need for foster
Hmm.
parents and such a need for people to go through the adoption process for these children. What was the process like for you? And can you shine a bit of light to others that may be considering doing the same thing?
Um, there are so many kids. Let me say that.
Mm,
I think it was 2019. It was like 14,000 kids in the foster care system, over 14,000, and that was just in the state of Georgia. And there's so many kids who need loving homes, and and the point of foster care, first of all, let me say the point of foster care is to reunite the kids back with their parents. That is
mhm,
the number one point of foster care, is to place the kids in a safe home while their parents are working on whatever they need to work on to get their kids back.
mhm,
And the instances where the parents don't actually meet that, work on what they're supposed to, because any parent, once their kid is placed into foster care, they get a plan, and the plan says you have to do A, B, C, D to get your kids back.
mm,
And if they don't do that, and then they keep, foster care extends it all the time. Keep giving them
right,
chances, giving them chances. We even pay for them to do drug rehab. I mean,
mm,
lots of opportunities. But if they don't, then that's when the parents lose their rights, and then they're placed
mm,
up for adoption. So that's the process of it. So the number one is to reunite. And so if the parents aren't meeting their needs, then the kids do get placed up for an adoption, and the parents lose their rights. But
mhm,
there's so many people that are needed in order to just love on the kids while their parents are working through what they need to get their kids back. And that's what foster parents do. We're
mm,
there to basically fill the spot for the parents while they're working on everything that they need. There's different levels of foster parents as well.
mm,
There's long-term regular foster parents where you always have a kid in your house, or there's short term. Right now, me and my husband, we're doing short term, or what they consider respite in some areas, which is
okay.
short term. So you could have a kid up to a week in your house at a
Mm,
time, or it could be a night, it could be a couple days, and you just love on them until they get their final foster home. So we did long
mhm,
term, and then after we adopted, we switched to short term, just so that we can build that bond with our boys a little better. And it's key to make sure that after you adopt, you build that bond really good before you start
mm,
having more kids in your home. And and there's also where you can put that you want to foster and adopt. Whenever you become a foster parent, you can actually sign up and say, I want to also be available to adopt as well if there's a child
okay.
that we want to adopt. The process, I'm not gonna lie, I'm 100%.
Mhm,
The process is frustrating. It is
mm,
frustrating. They give you this big stack of paper that you got to
mm,
fill out and turn in. We turned ours in 3 times. They've lost it twice. So it was frustrating in the beginning, but
wow,
most people have quit that process because it's like, okay, I guess they don't want foster parents. Um, I would say the system needs a lot of help in revamping. I'm
mm,
just going to be
mm,
honest. But the
yeah,
people and the caseworkers and everything that we met, they truly love what they're doing. They truly love to help kids. It's just, I think the system still has a lot of broken pieces that need to be fixed and
mm,
done better. But I could, even going through that process, going through all the training that we had to go through. They do home inspections every 3 months. So they come, open up every cabinet. They're all in your business. So they do your
mhm,
finances, criminal history. everywhere that you live. You know, the same thing I almost went through, but worse, trying to get a secret clearance for my job.
Oh yeah.
Like they check everything. Like you have to put down
Mm-hmm.
people you knew everywhere you live. They actually check those people, call those people up. They come to your house. Like it's really, they're all in your business, but I say they have to be because they're giving you a child to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
They can't just place it in anyone's house. And a lot of people don't want to do it because they don't want them in your business. But it's like so many kids need a loving home, just someone who can,
Amen.
who will say, I care about you. I love you. I know you're going through
Yeah.
a lot right now, but I'm going to love on you while you're here. Um, and kids need that because most kids don't come from a loving home. And so they need someone who's going to love them and not have to worry about, okay, I'm just a check or whatever. Actually
Mm-hmm.
love them. So, yes, the process could be frustrating. I'm going to keep it real, but
Right.
it's so worth it. It is so worth it.
Mm.
Once you finish the whole process, and then you finally become a approved foster parent, and the kids that come through your door, like, I wish I could keep all of them. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Brandon
Yeah.
swears, Brandon swears that that they're gonna get me to adopt 15 more kids or so. Because
Bless the Lord.
I want to keep them all, but it's like I know I have to know my limit as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my capacity, you know. But if I
That's right.
could, you know, if I could, you know, hit the lottery and I could buy a big old mansion and fill it up and don't have to work, yeah, we would have some more kids.
That's right. We
Uh,
need not just you and Brandon doing the work because I learned a lot just then, Everlean. I knew very high level about fostering. I heard different things about the process. Everyone's story is unique for sure, but that
yes,
underlying piece of the system,
yes.
I feel that that is a cog in the wheel
Hmm.
to getting children to loving homes in a timely fashion.
Yes.
And it's not for you to take them all on. I love your heart for that, that you said,
But I want to.
I would love to. We need other people to step up as well. We need a
Yes.
system that is going to serve those who want to bring children into their homes and provide a loving environment. But we needed to serve the children as
Yes.
well because you gave such good information about what the overall process looked like. But I can't get over the note that I made 14,000 children.
Hmm.
I thought that was national until you said in Georgia.
I think it's Georgia. It may be not, but I'm thinking it's Georgia though.
But even if that national or state, that is a lot of children that are just
Yes.
waiting for someone to open their home. And last week I was reading a devotion, how timely. It talked about being generous with your resources. So a
Hmm.
couple of weeks back, it talked about generous with your time, generous with your money. Last week was generous with your home. I never thought about that before. We all open our
Yeah.
home to family, but what about that teenager who just needs a warm
Hmm.
bed and a word from you?
Yes.
What about to that couple months old that the mom is just trying to figure life out? She may be going through something, but you can bring that 6 month old in, love them, help until she is getting in a place where she can love them and love them well.
Yeah.
Let's see, Kennard Weaver. Thanks, Weaver. He said that's a statewide in Georgia. The number is much higher
Oh.
nationally. Thank you. That
Okay. Thank you.
that that in itself shows that as we all have our own platforms, and if you have a voice, you have a platform. Everyone listening to this, not just Everlean, not just myself, if you have a voice and you're passionate about others, you have a platform. So I think the more that everyone that has heard what she shared can share that to others, even seek and find in your heart, if that's a path for you, if you know that has been a calling for you, or just even a tap on the back of your shoulder for a couple of years now, digging a little deeper, looking
Hmm.
beyond the statistic and saying, how can I take one of that 14,000 and make them no longer a part of that 14,000?
Hmm.
So I love how your story ends because not everyone's done. And
Hmm.
I think that's the part for me because I have such a heart and such a tender heart. And I'm thinking, bringing someone in and then they have to leave again.
Oh, that's hard.
Your story with your family is, by the grace of God, they were able to permanently be a part of
Mm-hmm.
your family. What was that process slash feeling from going from foster parents to we're y'all's real parents now? Like, what is that?
It was an exciting process because whenever we decided to foster, we decided we wanted to foster or adopt. So we got approved for both, to foster and adopt. So we went ahead and did it from the jump because we were open to doing that. And that's a lot easier to do from the start
Mm-hmm.
versus having to do it, because if you wait till later, you're going to have to redo the whole packet again type deal.
Okay.
But let me first say too, if you're interested in fostering, each county has what they call an orientation. No
Okay.
obligation, where you come and you listen to them talk about the process in depth within that
Mm,
county. Each county has a different process, and it's an orientation. I think it's about 2 hours where you come, listen. You can ask any questions that you want during this time, and they give you
mm,
the packet. And whether you return the packet or not is up to you. They won't call you, hound you, none of that. So it's just to get information. So if you want information, that's how you can just start the process. Go to your county foster care. They should have a website. Each county has a website, or the Georgia
mhm,
main website, foster care website, and then they'll have information to where you can attend the orientation. Now with COVID, it's probably virtual now.
mhm.
I hate that it's not in person
Yeah.
anymore, because it's so good. But it's
Mm,
probably virtual. But I'm pretty sure that it'll still give you the same information, and
mhm,
you'll be able to ask questions. But we were fostering, and when they told us, okay, every court date we went to, and we have sort of a semi-open adoption with our boys. They
okay.
are in contact with everyone else in their family except for their mother and father.
Okay.
So their aunts, uncles, and everybody, we
Mm,
still kept that relationship with them. So even while we were fostering, we let them have visitations with their aunts, uncles, grandma,
yeah.
all that. And so we already felt like we had created a nice bond with their family. We don't want any kid to come with us and feel like you have to give away everything
Right.
that you knew being raised. No,
Mhm.
we're just one big happy family now. One big
Yeah.
happy family. So, we keep in contact. I love them as if they're my own sisters, aunts, uncles, and everything. I mean, they're awesome people. And so when that happened, to where we were able to adopt them, we wanted to make sure it was okay with them first. And they were all on board as
Mm,
well. So it was just like everything was just laid and, like, okay, everyone was on board. That, their family was like, yes, the way that they love on our nephews, and, consider them family already. And they were there at the adoption. It was just so
wonderful.
awesome to just, it was a big family. We gained a
Mm,
family as well. They consider us family. We get together for events now. I send them pictures, updates all the time. They're awesome people. But it's just the way God ordained it. It's like, you don't have to give up something just to come with us now. We're just one big happy
mm,
family now. And I couldn't have asked for that any more, than what had happened, what's happened. But when they told us, I was just so excited, crying. And I was like, God, this is you. It took years to get to, but you made it happen. You worked on your time, and it was actually perfect timing. It was
mm.
perfect timing.
Good.
We were more settled in our careers too. So it was perfect timing, like the way it was done. And definitely make sure that your spouse is on board, because you don't want to bring a child into your family and home, and your spouse is not on board. So I thank God that my husband, he was on
Good.
board with it. Like, we were on the same page. He was on board, and that's what made it even more better. It was both of us wanting this, and not just one person. But I did want to
Mm,
end this, like, not in thing, but in with this statement on the foster care. If you can't foster, if you can't adopt, that is okay as well.
yeah.
Do what you can do.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel that, oh, the pressures to have to meet this high standard. No, do what's in your capability of doing. There's tons of nonprofits, there's tons of programs, there's tons of ways that you can still help out in the system
Yeah.
if you can't foster, if you can't adopt. Because I know, my younger days, I was not in the proper mindset to be fostering or adopting. And single people can foster and adopt as well. You do not have to be
Good.
married.
Yes, good
And you
detail.
do not have to own a house either. So you can be in an apartment
Hmm,
still, They look for a loving home, a loving home.
good. You have given us so many details and nuggets that we didn't know. I know
Hmm.
I can say that I didn't know, but it takes just that education, and that education turns to knowledge for future application because knowledge is power, right? And I love
Yes.
you talked about one big happy family. I'm going to make that into a nice segue using the quote, it takes a village. It takes a
Yes.
village to raise a child. I like to say it takes a village to help raise a family. And let's
Yes.
talk about the village in your life, which is Village Connection. I mentioned earlier, everyone in Everlean's bio, that she is co founder with her husband for the Village Connection
Mhm.
Inc. Can you tell us? We know what may have sparked it, but tell us to go from fostering to adopting to a full fledged nonprofit. What was it that you just could not just put away and say, no, we've got to go all in for this?
Um, Me and my husband both of our families are big on outreach. So his family so happens to be big on outreach, and mine as well. So when we meshed, we first started doing before we even started fostering, before anything, we started having bags in our cars for homeless. Like, when you see people on the side of
Yeah.
the corner or whatever saying, I need food, or I'm homeless, I need this, I would put a blanket. It was just a bag. I would put a blanket, some toiletry items, and I would never give cash, but I would put like either a McDonald's gift card. You always see a Waffle House, a
Mm-hmm.
McDonald's, Burger King. So I would try to put one of those food gift cards in there so they can go eat then. And then just some toiletries and stuff. So we were already doing bags, and I would keep them in my car. And whenever I would see someone who was in need, I would hand them the bag. So we were already doing that. No one knew, and we just kind of did that because I didn't want to just drive by every time and just act like I don't see them.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to give out cash. So I try to find a better way of still helping them if they truly need help. So we were doing the care bags. And then when we started fostering, every child, and this was so frustrating to me, every child that came through our door had their clothes in a bag. And I would just get so frustrated. They would come in, either the foster, the caseworker or the child would come in
Mm-hmm.
holding either it was a trash bag
Mm,
or like a Walmart bag with just that's
yeah,
it. That's all their stuff in a trash bag. And I was like, how are we showing kids that we
that's right.
care about them
Right.
and we're shoving their stuff in a trash bag?
Mm,
And that's
that's
how they're going from house to house. We even got kids from other houses, and they're coming to us as in a bag, like a trash bag. And I'm like, how as a society, the least thing that we could do is make
right.
sure that they have a bag to carry their stuff in. Like,
Right.
still kids, we would come in, and I've always kept extra toothbrush, toothpaste, and toiletries in the house. But they would come, we would literally get them when they were taken from their parents straight to
Mhm.
us. We were the first house.
Right.
So they wouldn't even have toothbrush, toothpaste, none of that, no toiletries, no toy. And I would
Yeah.
start buying toys and, giving them something so that they don't leave our house still empty handed. And I would find a bag and stick their stuff. Like, you're not leaving my house with a trash
Right.
bag. You're not.
Right.
And so that's how we started doing it on our own,
Hmm.
making foster care love bags. Before we started the nonprofit, we were doing that and donating it to our local Cobb County foster care office. And the bags had toys, they had toiletries, they had various items and books. I'm big on learning. So something learning
Yes.
was in there, flashcards, books, something learning. And so we were doing that on just our own. And then everyone was like, you should start a nonprofit. Like, you guys need to do this on a bigger scale. The caseworkers loved it because they even hated picking up kids and
Mm.
having to put their stuff in trash bags. A lot of them, and they don't even get paid enough. We're sometimes going to buy stuff with their own money just to make
Right.
sure kids didn't have. And so I'm like, no, like, we got to be doing something more. So that's why we
Yeah.
started the nonprofit, because it's like,
Mm.
you know, I hate to be one who fuss about it and gripe. It's like, okay, let's do something about it. What can I do
That's
about
right.
it?
Action
And so that's why
behind
we
the
started.
words.
Yep, that's why we started Village Connection.
I love it. And when you hear stories about nonprofits, sometimes they're birthed out of a need. You saw this need, you started doing it, and then that led into the nonprofit. So, of
Yes.
course, it was just rooted from the beginning in you seeing something that I can only imagine what that did to their morale and their
Mhm.
self-esteem to look at a trash bag. And as I even think about this now, some of them that, are as they grow and buying their own trash bags, look at that and see and think back to
Mhm.
their past of when all their belongings were literally put in the trash. What
And
that
think
could
about
do to
this.
someone.
Think about this. I saw a special that Tiffany Haddish did like a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
I forgot which show she was on. And they asked her, she used to be in the foster care system. And they
Mm,
asked her, what's one thing that you, and this is how I knew we were like dead on the right track. And it was like, what's one thing that you remember? And she brought up, she had to carry her stuff in trash bags.
mm.
Tiffany had a successful
Right.
everything,
Celebrity. Yep.
and you still remember being in foster care and carrying your stuff in trash bags. Like that
Mm,
memory still stuck with her.
mhm. Mhm. Because it's such a honestly a tragic illustration to
Mm-hmm.
take someone's belongings, all they had that they could say, this is mine, and literally put them in the trash. So I am thankful for your obedience. I'm thankful for your vision to see this and say, wait a minute, this stops right here. And we're going to
Yeah.
make sure that we give these gifts of these actual bags with zippers and closures and that they could feel like it's theirs to other children because you from your heart you couldn't let that continue, and now
Mm-mm.
that's
No.
part of your mission and your work. And I am just in awe at the fact that how you all have taken it from the initial first few bags to now that you're donating so many to so many different
Yes.
organizations. I want to make a call to action now. If any of you, those of you that have commented, I see the heart bubbles, I see the thumbs up. Everyone that has tuned in and watched this, if you're tuning in and watching the recording, what can we call them to action to do to support you, Brandon, and Village Connection to ensuring that not now another child has to put their things into a trash bag?
Yes, villageconnection.org. And we have a donate button and donate. We're also raising money to do scholarships for kids who have been who have been in foster care as well. We're trying to do anything that we can to help out kids who have been in the foster care system because I'm not gonna lie, it's rough out there. I've spoken to many of kids who have been through the system, and it's hard to bounce back. It's hard to, put forth a foot and go to college. But if you have someone giving you a scholarship, or even as simple as when you come into care, you have a bag that has a toy, it's your bag, it has toiletries, you
Mm,
have dignity by carrying your stuff in the bag.
that's
Even
it.
think about teenagers, young kids from teenagers, all this walking around with trash bags. It's just, to me, it's unacceptable. And as a
Mhm.
society, we have to do better about our kids. They're going to be our future, our future. These kids will run the world, and we have to make sure that we pour into them and that we show them that they're loved. Number
Mm,
one, that's a love thing. We have to show them. Me and Brandon, I would say we're always about action.
that's
What
good.
can we do to show action? Yes, we're going to pray, but also what action can we put forth in it?
That's good. And I think what Kennard Weaver just posted again. Thanks, Weaver. He said Tuesday, December 1st is Giving Tuesday. Is Village Connection a part of the campaign?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. So he said, count me in as a supporter. And on average, what would a contribution for one bag be? Just from one
Uh,
person?
each bag, I would say, roughly costs between $21 and $25. They range because of the type of toy. The teenager bags would cost a little bit more because of the toy that we put in their bag. So between
Mhm.
21 and $25 per bag.
That's good. That's excellent. So everyone, that is less than a Christmas gift that some of you all are going to buy. That's less than Uber Eats or DoorDash. That's less than your
Yes.
weekly coffee. Around that $25 mark, I think we can all make it happen because we have people actively watching, people that have already watched and posted and commented. Let's support Village Connection and make that happen. I know my family and we are going to support. So I don't know if I'm going to wait
Thank
till
you.
Giving Tuesday or not, but you all will have our support because you're doing kingdom work. The Bible tells us to love one another. But with
Hmm.
that love, folks need food. Folks
Yes.
need a place to stay. They need a blanket. They need clothes. They need a toothbrush. They need a bag. Put
Yes.
action into that love, exactly what you were just stating you and your husband Brandon do. So I'm going to call everyone to action to please support Village Connection. They are doing some amazing work. You've met Everlean. She is every woman. She is excellent. I'm going to call you excellent
No.
Everlean. She is excellent wife, excellent mother. She has given us so much to think about. And I'm just looking back over my notes. We've talked about teamwork in marriage, coming up with your game plan, you know, your testimony of the miracle of your son that led to the miracle of your sons in your family, and how we can make a difference. If you
Hmm.
can't foster or you feel like it's not your calling yet, you can support this organization that Everlean has started with Village Connection to ensuring that a child has a place to put their belongings. Kennard
Yes.
Weaver said, Team Weaver in our church is good for 10 bags. Come on, 10 bags.
Thank you.
Amen. Thank you, Weaver. And excellent, excellent. Oh, and another comment from Brandon Rutherford that said she's amazing with heart eyes. Weavers. Okay, how do we get in touch
Oh my
with
goodness.
Everlean? So she said villageconnection.org. Is there any other outlet that you want people to visit or strictly go to the website and they're communicating with you through there?
Yes, you can go through villageconnection.org. That has all of our information. We're also on all social medias, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. You can find us under Village Connection. I know Instagram is Village Connection Inc. And then Facebook is Village Connection. And you can always find us anytime we post. We typically hold volunteer events where we do packing events every year. Due to COVID, it just messed us up. But make sure when you donate in PayPal, you have your email address because we do provide yearly tax donation receipts through that email address that you provide. So make sure your PayPal one is the correct one. If not, you can always inbox us your one that you want us to send your tax donation receipt to as well. But thank you, thank you. Oh my goodness, I'm
And
excited.
glory to God for this is what it's about. And I look, I started the show, but I'm the one that's got the hope and I'm inspired after this because this is what this life experience on this side of heaven is about.
Yes,
Hearing the stories of others, being inspired by their miracles, by their testimonies, by the work that they are doing to provide for others, to love on others as we are called to do. So
yes,
I give you kudos, Everlean. I thank you. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you and your family for sharing your time with us today. And thank you for your heart of obedience. Many people know they're called, but they rejected that call, or maybe they
yes,
didn't answer. Obedience is a discipline, and you have, in your time of sharing with us, shown your obedience to God and what He has asked you to do, and you're making a difference. This is the hope that we all need for this holiday season and beyond. So, thank you for your time together today. I am going to, when I share this out, I'll put Village Connection, everything in the details and the show notes at the bottom, everyone. Again, social media, villageconnection.org is how you can contact Everlean about how to support. And
yes,
she is very active on social media, also with her
yes.
marriage advocacy. Follow that page. It will give you some inspiration when you know you've driven your spouse at the wall that day and you like, check myself. go to Everlean's page there, and she can provide definitely some inspiration. But it has been a pleasure. Thank you all for joining us today. Everlean, if
Thank
you'll just
you.
hold on, I'll wrap up the live. But thanks, Facebook, everybody that's been watching. It has been an awesome time. We'll be back next Sunday with another speaker, Sunday afternoon, live on the Facebook stream. I appreciate you all, and we all could use a little bit more hope this holiday season. Take
Thanks.
care.